All throughout the previous NBA offseason, the Raptors were linked towards a trade, potentially acquiring Donovan Mitchell. But I was adamant that the Raptors should stay away from this one because I did not believe he was worth the asking price, nor did I believe he could truly ascend to this superstar status. Well, in today's video, I'm going to let you know that I was very wrong. Welcome back, everybody, to Amateur Hour TV. This is a channel where I go through additional NBA-related discussion that I just do not have enough time to get to on my main channel, but we can still get to it on this channel. The vibes are a little bit different, which provides a difference for the channels. I'm a little bit less professional here, and provide a little bit more of a personal touch over here, and it just lets me cover some extra NBA topics that I just very want to discuss. And this is one in particular, Donovan Mitchell. This is one that has come up a little bit in some of the live streams over the course of the season, but wanted to get a full video out here and be as transparent as possible about my opinions on Donovan Mitchell. But before we go ahead and do that, please make sure if you enjoy the content along the way, you give a like on the video. It does support the channel a long way. It helps with that YouTube algorithm. And please make sure you subscribe to Amateur Hour TV for more content just like this. Very sorry for the lack of content on this channel recently. We'll do better with that starting today. And today we are talking about Donovan Mitchell. And the reason I wanted to bring this up today, I feel like it was a good opportunity to bring this up today, is because Donovan Mitchell had just been named as an NBA All-Star starter in the Eastern Conference. Absolutely loaded here. Kyrie Irving and Donovan Mitchell in the backcourt, along with Kevin Durant, Jason Tatum, and Giannis Antetokounmpo in the front court. Obviously, Joel Embiid, an omission there, but they got to abolish the positions in terms of, the positions that are set here, what we are constricted to. I think the Eastern Conference All-Stars are selected correctly here. Donovan Mitchell specifically selected correctly as one of these starting guards, along with Kyrie Irving. That's up for debate. That's just how I feel. That's not what this video is about. Donovan Mitchell in the offseason was still a Utah Jazz player. He's coming off that first-round elimination in the playoffs, a series the Jazz probably should have won against the Dallas Mavericks, although they got all the way to the conference finals. Whatever it may be, Donovan Mitchell was clearly up for trade in the summer by the Utah Jazz, and there were a lot of teams that were suitors for the players. One team in particular that definitely was a suitor for the services of the shooting guard were the Toronto Raptors. They had all of these assets, all of these picks available to trade, and it was clear that they could and maybe should position themselves as a front runner in the Eastern Conference by pulling the trigger on a big trade. As things became more and more apparent on the Kevin Durant saga that he was not going to be going anywhere, especially if Scottie Barnes was not going to be on the table, which he never was going to be on the table, then maybe a shift in focus towards Donovan Mitchell may have made sense here, but I was adamant that Donovan Mitchell was not worth the asking price. It was going to cost at least 3 first-round picks, some swaps, some players to make it happen. It just seemed like a lot for a player who I felt was never going to ascend to the true top-tier superstar status, and for a player like Donovan Mitchell, who maybe, I don't think, put the Raptors over the top. I don't think that is a player that separates your team from a contender to like a true, I don't think that separates you from like a playoff team, a really good playoff team, to a true championship contender. I just think he makes you really good, but not that true championship contender. And for that reason, that's all your chips in. That's you going all in. So that is your player, your centerpiece for your team. You have to go win a championship with that core, really, because you can't really supplement that using your draft picks any further due to, the Stepien rule and all that stuff. So in that situation, as a result of that situation, I was out, and it was met with a little bit of criticism, as many topics are, and that's not a problem. It was certainly a debatable discussion. I just didn't feel Donovan Mitchell put the Raptors over the top. Now we're seeing what he's done with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and he has been spectacular this season. He is well beyond the career high in points, over 28 points per game. Oh my goodness, the shooting percentages are by far career highs. He's gone from a 45% shooter to a 48% shooter. So he's taking this, the volume's the same. He's just hitting way more of these shots. From a three-point standpoint, he's up from 36 to 40% shooting. Same volume again. It's just been unbelievable what he's done. I think it's a testament to maybe playing on a team that suits him a little bit better, but just the player in general hitting a new level here. And for the fourth straight season, he's an NBA All-Star, and I believe this is for the first time he's starting in the All-Star game. I could be wrong about that. And it seems to me like he's a superstar sort of player. The definition of a superstar can be pretty vague, so maybe you don't think he's like a superstar here, but I mean, a 70-point game, an Eastern Conference All-Star starter, like you're pretty much a superstar at that point. I did not think that he had that level in him, with all due respect. So I wanted the Raptors to avoid that trade for the reasons that I've outlined here. And I understand that I was wrong about how good this guy could be. That being said, I still, looking back, don't think that was a trade the Raptors should have made. And let me elaborate here. The Cleveland Cavaliers, I think, are very happy with their trade. And I think this is a team for the future. I am not completely sold that this is a core that is going to win a championship. I think if all things align correctly for them, they can do it. I think they're capable of doing it this year. I don't think this puts them over the top as that overwhelming contender. Maybe if Boston fall off, Milwaukee fall off in a couple of years, things are different. But for now, that's just how I feel. They traded. It was an expensive package. So a misconception is that it's 3 first-round picks, and it was. They traded away Colin Sexton, Lauri Markkanen, and the 3 unprotected first-round picks. But they also traded their first-round pick from this year, Agbaji, who, I mean, not just a first-round pick. By definition, it was a lottery pick. He was selected 14th overall in the 2022 NBA entry draft. So it wasn't nothing there. Now, I don't think we can fault them for trading Markkanen here. We did not expect him to become this sort of player. So I'm not going to hold that too hard against them, the Markkanen thing, because nobody saw this coming, really, as it came to the player. But Agbaji was a lottery pick. He was selected 14th overall. If you heard me typing, I just verified it there to make sure I was correct on that one. Colin Sexton was a sign and trade, so his value was decreased. But that's not a nothing player either for Sexton. So it was technically 4 first-round picks along with Markkanen, who was a good player. We didn't know he'd be this good. And Sexton, who was a good player. We didn't know he would be this good. So for the Raptors to have gone and made this trade, it's likely costing them 3 picks and 2 swaps, maybe 4 picks, along with likely Gary Trent Jr. and some other form of salary filler. It would have been probably along the lines of Gary Trent Jr., maybe Kem Birch. I don't know how else they'd balance it out. Regardless, it wouldn't be a cheap way to bring in Donovan Mitchell. It would have been very expensive. And slotting in Donovan Mitchell to this team, it makes us undoubtedly better. It makes us one of the better teams, one of the best teams in the NBA's Eastern Conference. I think the Raptors are in a much better position than they would be right now, 100%. But I still maintain that if you are seriously going to put all your chips into something, you have to have an extreme amount of confidence that has made you an overwhelming championship contender. And though I believe the Cavaliers are a championship contender right now, I don't think this puts them over the top. I think this is a trade that has made them good enough to win a championship. I'd feel the same way about the Raptors, but I didn't think there was any need to rush to make that sort of trade when there was the possibility of waiting a little bit longer. Maybe something else becomes available. I think time will tell on that. In hindsight, obviously, we can kind of look back and say maybe that was worth it. And I understand if you're looking at that and saying that'd be more than worth it. That sets you up for success for the foreseeable future. I understand all that. I just genuinely feel like as good as he is, that's not quite the over-the-top player I would want to get if I was putting all my chips in. And maybe that player doesn't ever really come available again. Maybe there weren't really any talks involving the Raptors in this discussion. But I've had a lot of people reach out saying the Raptors should have traded for Donovan Mitchell. I don't know if there was a clear-cut trade that was there. If it was, and if I've kind of described already what that sort of trade would have looked like, then I think it's understandable to say, in hindsight, Raptors probably should have pulled the trigger on something like that. But I think having patience with this core was the correct decision this summer. It's obviously now time for the Raptors to address that with the upcoming trade deadline, and we will see what happens there. But overall, I definitely did not believe Donovan Mitchell could be this good. And it makes me a little bit sour that maybe he could have been doing this in a Toronto Raptors uniform. But I guess we will never know about the player. And one more thing along with the player, I've kind of voiced I don't perceive the Cavaliers as this all-out contender this season. I think the playoffs are going to have a lot to really showcase about this, because obviously there are great defenders. Part of the concern for me as well stemmed from, okay, Fred VanVleet's there, good defender, smaller player. Donovan Mitchell's there, okay, not a good defender. The Cavaliers are doing a good job of hiding that this season. He's been better than I expected as well. He's been decent on defense compared to where he wasn't very good for the Utah Jazz. But I still have doubts in there. I don't want to sound like, oh, it doesn't matter if he doesn't do it in the playoffs. I just, again, this is the sort of trade you make to become an NBA champion. I still would like to see. I think they can do it. I think they can figure it out a playoff setting, but I still would like to have that proven to me before I really say, like, yeah, that was one the Raptors fumbled type of thing. You know what I mean? I'm not a believer in, like, okay, he does all this, but he can't do it in the playoffs sort of thing. There's maybe some specific players that come to mind, like James Harden. When you think about players, like, okay, but he can't do it in the playoffs. He can't do it in elimination games. So we will see. Donovan Mitchell has been outstanding in the playoffs for. He had that outstanding series in the bubble against the Nuggets. So all of these things factor in. But I was wrong about his ability. I don't think I was wrong about the Raptors not wanting, or the Raptors who should not trade for him, as I said in the offseason. So we'll see if that becomes wrong. We'll see if I'm proven correct. Time will tell. Thank you so much for watching this one on Amateur TV. Please, if you did enjoy, make sure you have subscribed to this channel for more content just like this. I'm going to try to do 2 to 3 of these a week at least. And please make sure you drop a like on this video if you did enjoy. I understand this is more of a heated discussion for some people, so hopefully you can see my side of it. I will see you again next time for another video on Amateur TV.